we are. Jen, you can officially...
I'm too busy dancing.
You're too busy dancing. You can officially call the meeting to order now.
Okay, this is my gavel.
It's very nice.
The fourth meeting of the Forever 44 Fedora Club is now in session. I feel like I'm delayed. Am I delayed?
No, you're fine. I think you're fine.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Judge Jen is presiding, and perhaps more so tonight than ever, for we have the most guests we've had here in the history of the 3 meetings of the Forever 44 Fedora Club. So Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for checking us out here over on the Dillos Diz YouTube page. She is Jen. I am Frank.
Hello.
And for the next hour or so, we're going to be discussing what we have done in the previous 3 meetings here. We have been talking about films that inspire the world of play, that kind of take us on a journey and kind of immerse us and you know, work our imaginations to the core. And we really figured that out over the course of the first 3 meetings. We did Who Framed Roger Rabbit, we did The Rocketeer, and we did Dick Tracy. And those were my kind of guinea pig sessions, as it were, to figure out what these meetings were all about. And they're really an exploration of the world of play, and then how these movies that transcend, that transport us, can perhaps then extend into perhaps the theme park realm in the future, or in the present, or right here, right now, whatever it may be. I think that's the same thing as the present, is it not, Jen?
Yeah. I think you're like monologuing, so you feel like you have to just say a lot of words right now.
Happens when that's why everyone's not here. So I feel like I get to say the most. I get to say.
Yes. Yeah.
But tonight's going to be a great one, because we're talking about Marvel's Black Panther, and you know, a great part of why I wanted to do this meeting in particular was on August 28th, the unexpected passing of Chadwick Boseman. I mean, we've been getting a lot of gut punches here the last, you know, most of 2020 has just been a series of gut punches. And, you know, me personally, that one hit me particularly hard. Like, I still have a vivid memory of seeing 42 on opening night, and really just watching his career the whole time. So I kind of knew immediately that I wanted to have this conversation. And I'm hoping everyone who's joining us here tonight, don't forget to use the comments. You help guide this journey along the way. But we have so many guests, folks who haven't been here before, so it's particularly exciting. And I want to get right to it. Jen, should we get to it?
Do it already. What are you doing? It's been like 4 minutes. What is this, a Tuesday night show? We don't have a 12-minute pre-show.
All right, so let's start with our Treasurestorian. You know him at Nathaniel Hardy over on the Twitter. He is Nate Hardy. Nate, good evening.
Good evening. How are you all?
Good. How are you, sir?
Fantastic. I am so looking forward to this. This is great. We have some new people to introduce to the world from the Fedora 44 Club. And I have all sorts of friends who are texting me trying to get access. We're all old. We don't know how to use computers. Guys, text your kid. They'll help you.
How is the treasure going of the 44 Fedora Club?
I don't know. You open the keys to the vault.
Oh.
You know, I've set up various accounts in your name, and I've had money just flowing in, but I could get more if I could use your images. So I've sent you a release in an email. So please just sign. And,
I need to approve those images, and then probably again, like in 3 months, because sometimes I change my mind. So
no, you're steady. You always are one course, never deviate, and you make a decision like that. Yeah,
I really do. I'm a really good decision maker, Nate.
Yeah, you're on it.
All right, Nate, thanks for being here again for the meeting. I want to introduce a first-time participant in the meeting. Jen, you know him. I have known him for 20 years. He is one of my best friends, best man at my wedding. He, if you watch the Lenny BS over at facebook.com/the Lenny BS, streaming twice monthly, you may know him as Cosmo, but here he is. It's Charles Murray. Charles, hello.
Hey, how's it? Hi, how's it going?
Like, wait, which one are we doing tonight? Hold on.
I sent Charles a lot of these links last minute, so I don't blame him for not knowing which meeting we're in.
I just juice up and go.
Now, we didn't mention like best man, but we should have said like best man extraordinaire. I mean, I think like a proper title. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best man extraordinaire. Yeah.
That was a fine day, wasn't it?
It was a fine day. I feel like me and Charles had a lot of this as we were watching Frank cry. Oh, I mean, what?
Right.
That didn't happen. What? Oh, okay.
That right now. What the hell? Come on. Well, Charles, thanks for being here. I'm glad you could jump in tonight, and we'll have some fun along the way. The hits keep coming here. I want to bring in someone who we never expected to be at any of these meetings, but he's been to all the meetings.
Yes.
He is of the Cretins Guild. Please say hello to Skipper Bob.
Oh, what?
I don't know what that was.
Play the game! How you guys doing? Jen, Frank, Nate.
Whoa.
To Charles, good to see you, buddy. Haven't talked to you before.
Hi.
Hi, Skipper Bob.
Good evening.
Skipper Bob, I saw you host a game last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, and it didn't go so well for one of the members of this group, but it was entertaining nonetheless.
He was he had a 1 week reign, but we decided to extend it an extra week, and he came on and he defended his title, that guy right there. And it didn't end too well for him.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring him in. The former champion of the Cretins Guild. Here he is. It's J Cubed, Triple J, 3J, whatever we're calling him.
I was
Justin.
robbed. Can we get that chant going? Because that's how it goes, man.
You deserve it.
I was basically told moments before the title defense to get ready to come on to a trivia challenge. I asked, could I possibly know the topic of the trivia challenge? The answer was no. So you tell me how that was on equal footing, on fair grounds. There were no circumstances under which I actually lost the title.
Would that have helped you if you knew? Would it help you if I told you the answers?
That would have helped too. Sometimes, listen, have you ever heard of Champion's Advantage? Okay.
I mean, not with that guy.
For those of you who don't know, Skipper Bob ran a simulation a couple of weeks back over on the Cretins Guild YouTube page where Justin Monorail, maybe he's known as Triple J, 3J, J Cubed here, won the 30-man Royal Rumble amongst podcasters, vloggers, bloggers, and the like.
Upset of the year.
Upset of the year.
I don't think we should call it that. I really don't.
Dude, I had so many texts the next day. It's like, why is this skinny guy in a Mickey Mouse t-shirt throwing out guys that are 300 pounds out of the ring, lifting them up and throwing them out?
It's called heart.
It's all heart.
Well, there was breaking news about this morning, Skipper Bob. You want to just drop that in real quick before we continue?
Currently, that title has been vacated. It's after a 12-hour run. Jay said, I'm good.
What?
Let someone else have it. He quit.
Wow.
He gave up and he quit. So yes, that is vacant. That is an open challenge championship. Anybody can challenge for it at any time. Just get in touch with me. We'll talk.
Well, there you go. There you have it. Justin, J Cubed, Triple J, 3J, I'm sorry.
Whatever you like.
Has also brought someone along for the meeting today, and I'm getting to meet him for the first time, so I'm really excited. Jen, you too.
Yep.
So please welcome to the the Forever 44 Fedora Club. Can somebody say the name of this club? Go. Please welcome Brandon Anthony. Brandon, hello. Oh, Brandon.
Oh, no.
Loading.
Oh no. Oh, there he is.
Hey!
Brandon's signal has been struggling. Brandon, can you hear us? He cannot hear us. Brandon, I'm gonna ask you to drop out. Oh, maybe he's waving. He's definitely on a delay. He is on a delay. Hey, you there now? Can you hear us?
It's like the song for What's in the Attic.
All right, I'm gonna drop out, Brandon. I'll try to bring you back in a second, and then we will. Lastly, but not leastly, we've talked about him at all of these meetings ever since the formation of the Forever 44 Fedora Club. He has refused to wear a fedora, so we named him the Crown Prince of the Forever 44 Fedora Club. So he's in charge of all of this. Just so we're all clear. Please welcome radio superstar Landon the Dodge Doane. Landon, I faked you out there. There he is.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I just noticed my head is kind of naked. So excuse me 1 second.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah. Your crown prince is here. And I definitely didn't spend $30 on this one bit, y'all. Definitely did not do that. Also, still got more props. What's up? I'm Thanos over here.
Did you just get back from Mardi Gras?
Actually, no, I couldn't go this year due to a current situation going on in the world, Skipper Bob, unfortunately. And the hilarious part is this crown doesn't fit on my head, whether or not I'm wearing headphones. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Landon. Hi, Landon. I'm ready for you to start singing the song from Hamilton there. You'll say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I did try to queue up a message for the king, a message from. By the way, Frank, your intro was so long. I'm already on round 3. So Jay did tell me that at every one of these meetings, somebody gets just plastered, and apparently it was my turn. So I'm 6 beers in, 2 of these Black Panther drinks. I got round 4 over there, 3 beers. So this is going to be a fun recording, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo! Oh boy!
Lordy.
Well, as to be expected.
Remember, pinkies up, savages.
Well, while we wait for Brandon to come back in for the meeting, let's talk about the drinks while we're on the subject. And Jen, do you have it up on the?
I don't, and I am I am also going to join Brandon in I'm Freezing Land, so I may go out and come back in so I can have a better. I've been very robotic.
Jen is budding
That's
herself
it. I'm
here.
leaving. So I'll be in a different spot when I return. Okay, bye.
Bye, Judge Jenny.
Oh boy, she's booting herself here. All right, so the first drink is the was found by just 3J, Triple J, and it is the Heart of Wakanda cocktail, right? That's the one. The Heart of Wakanda cocktail. Yes. What can you tell us about it?
I can tell you that it's very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
This particular beverage is a mixture of mostly grenadine, lemonade, and lemon lime soda. And I actually did go just to stick to the recipe with the generic lemon lime public soda right in here. So, but then you put the vodka in there, and you do mix in some Cointreau. Not Cointreau, some blue curacao, and that's what makes the purple for you. But you know what? At the end of the day, it is very sweet. You probably would get a toothache if you drink too many of these. I think it's tasty, though. Landon, your thoughts?
Very tasty, very sugary. I apparently spilled some. FYI, if you put this into a shaker, be careful with the carbonation because it is likely to explode. So maybe wear a smock of some sort or put plastic down in your kitchen wherever you shake your drink, so to speak. But it is so sugary. I saw ants crawling around in my kitchen. So tasty, but maybe go brush your teeth afterwards. But then again, I'm about to start on round 4. So screw my teeth, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you guys, did you add the corn syrup?
No, because the corn syrup is really just for the purple
rim.
sugar. The rim.
Yeah, as if this drink wasn't sugary enough. It calls for black sugar to put along the rim. So I mean, like you might as well just go ahead and inject it into your veins and get type 2 diabetes while you're at it.
Right.
Very, very nice. Nate, did you not go with the drink at all tonight?
Oh, I did. I went with
yeah.
the
Helden freeze over.
Cointreau.
You went with the Cointreau. All right,
Yeah,
let me pull that up and we'll talk about it. Why don't you tell everyone about it?
It's delicious, and it one of the main ingredients is Cointreau. Cointreau came up with this recipe, and it has mezcal in it. A lot of people don't like mezcal. I don't know why. It's a little maybe smokier version of tequila. It's very tasty, and you should have lots of it. But the drink is delicious. It's got blackberries. It's got fresh lime juice, fresh orange juice, some mezcal, as I said, and Cointreau, since they made the recipe. You got to throw that in there. And you have a little bit of, you take the blackberry. This is why when you step up from the corn syrup, you take the blackberry that you were going to put in your drink, and you kind of just slide it on the side here. And I don't have one to demonstrate. And you just gently go around the rim with the blackberry, so the juices of the blackberry will hold the salt, and then you roll the rim in the salt. So then you get the nice salt or sugar on the rim without corn syrup. But it's very tasty. I like it. I recommend it. I added extra Cointreau and extra orange juice. I didn't have time to do both, so thank you guys for making the other one.
Yeah. And I just want to point out that a key ingredient to that recipe is blackberry. And if you don't use blackberry, what you get is a green colored drink that becomes part of your green screen.
All right, I see Brandon's back in the green room down here. The third time's a charm, Jen. Can you
let's do it. Bring him in.
Do it. Let me see. Oh, you did it.
Brandon.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Yes.
Yep.
You look good.
100%.
I had to grab another laptop. So
All right.
Yeah, you don't look like you're coming
Happy
through a Super Nintendo.
Brandon, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it.
yeah, man, appreciate it. Did I hear you guys say you talked about Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Mhm.
We did.
Oh, that's in my top 10.
Yeah.
That's in my top 10. That was what, 88?
Yeah. I think
Like I remember watching that in the theater, and I'll never forget seeing Jessica Rabbit. And I'm pretty sure that's when my hormones kicked in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you, buddy.
Sexual
Ariel
awakening.
from Little Mermaid. I might have some issues.
Yeah.
Well, Brandon, you get to fit right in here in the club.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. So we talked about the drinks, and we'll just mention, courtesy of our friends over at DisneyDishesBlog.com, you know, Tom and Michelle from Hyperion Adventures. They have a meal of the meeting. We deem one of their delicious dishes a meal of the meeting. It is the herb crusted rack of lamb. I'm pulling it up right here. Make sure you go to this website to check it out. There's a lot of ads on here that I was not prepared for at all.
Has a great sale.
Yeah. So, you know,
Herb
sponsor of the Forever 44 Fedora Club right here.
Can we discuss herb versus herb? Can we discuss that?
What did I say? Did I say
You
herb?
said herb. When have you ever said herb?
The H is very emphasized in this one recipe.
I don't know why I said that, but over at Disneyland's Blue Bayou Restaurant, this is one of their main meals. I'm just going to scroll through real fast here because there's a lot of ads, and I don't want to see anything I'm not supposed to.
Be sure to have Nicole for 20% off. Put the promo code Forever44 Club in the promo code.
Not an ad. Hashtag we make no money off of this. Hashtag.
It will give you an error.
Wait, what are the legal ramifications of this? How much do we have to say in the fine print?
We're scrubbing this.
Yeah.
We'll edit it out. This isn't live, right?
No, not at all.
Let's just take it from the top, you guys know.
I mean, and this is all in
Cold stash.
So make sure you check that out at DisneyDishesBlog.com. That is the meal of the month.
My question is, who made it for us? Because I would love to have some of that right now. So who brought that to the meeting?
You got to go to Kohl's.
Yeah.
Landon, I know you like ribs. I figured that would be you.
No, I like dim ribs, not just ribs. Come on, get it straight, Frank.
Sorry. I apologize.
I made brat and cheese, beer cheese earlier, so it was pretty good.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Nice.
I got leftovers, but y'all got to come to East Tennessee. So
Yeah.
Well, Brandon,
Where the
Brandon,
internet doesn't work.
Yeah,
Brandon-
Brandon can go.
There
Brandon,
we
head
go.
over there. You might be able to make it by the end. Set up your
yeah,
phone
wear your
in the
mask. We got
car.
enough for you, Brandon. Yeah.
All right, so let's get right to it. We're talking Black Panther today. The release date, February 16th, 2018. And I feel like, and maybe this is going too big too soon. I don't know if there's been a movie since Black Panther that caused this much excitement across the board. Like it had the run that it did. It had the biggest President's Day opening weekend ever. The box office gross is $659 million domestically, 1.29 billion globally. It's in the top 10 all time. So I guess we'll just get started. Whoever wants to start, and there's more people here, so I don't know how that's going to go. But comics wise, anyone read the Black Panther comics? We could start there perhaps before we jump into the movie. Charles is raising his hand enthusiastically. Charles, over to you.
Well, yeah, I read a few of them, and not back in 1966, but yeah, when I went through my big comic phase in the mid 90s up till whenever I stopped
Last
buying
week.
them, but yeah. He's a cool character, you know. It was I love the fact that he was an Avenger, but not quite an Avenger. His skill set seemed, dare I say, reasonable compared to some of the other superheroes you run into. And you know, I just liked it. I liked it when he started dating Storm of the X-Men. I thought, yeah, be a cute couple, you know.
Yep.
I don't get romantic, but
And they got broke up in Civil War. Oh,
oh,
I know. They're a great couple.
I just want to point out there's a lot of folks in the chat tonight. Lewis is here, Stefford is here, Jeff is here, even though it's his anniversary.
No, his
Even on his
birthday. Get it
anniversary.
right. It's his wife's birthday.
It's his wife's birthday.
Happy
Happy
wife's birthday.
birthday.
Sorry, I apologize to Jeff's wife.
Happy birthday.
Yes. Should we
By
all
the way, he
sing for
probably
her?
forgot one.
Happy birthday, versary, everybody.
I would like to admit something. Prior to the Black Panther movie, I didn't really know that much about Black Panther. This was a character that, to me, like, I knew that he was in the comics. I knew that he'd been around a long time, but I didn't really know that much about him. I was excited to learn because at this point, this was the 18th MCU movie that we got. It was somewhere in that range. I kind of felt like they had earned my trust because they made me actually enjoy a character like Thor, who I kind of thought would be boring on the big screen.
Dude, they made a movie about a talking raccoon and tree. So yeah, they definitely earned your trust.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
made Ant-Man work too. Yeah.
Exactly. And just for me, I was just excited because again, like, to knowing that MCU was putting out this quality product to go meet like a new character, for me, I was fired up about it.
Skipper Bob, you read the comics as well?
I did. One of the first instances I ever saw of T'Challa Black Panther is the Avengers are all hanging out at the Avengers Mansion, and then this guy in a black suit jumps out from the shadows and just mops the floor out of like all of them. Thor, Iron Man, the Hulk. He's knocking them left and right. He's like, who is this guy? And like, that's what, like, oh, okay. I think I need to read some more about this guy. He's really cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of his introduction in Winter Soldier. He kind of shows up and just kicks butt.
Yeah.
And there's that reveal. It's T'Challa when he takes the helmet off. It's like, oh, it's the prince. Wait, okay, all right, diplomatic immunity. I've seen that. Yeah. So, and I also like the fact that Black Panther, like, in addition to being kind of an Avenger on the outside, like later on during my run reading comics back when I was dropping, $40-$60 a week on books, was like he was also part of the Illuminati. So he was a heavy hitter when it came to the Marvel comic universe. And then his introduction into the MCU, like Nate said, he was brought very, very strongly into the Winter Soldier. So he was a very prominent player from the word go, and I liked that introduction. Such a strong character. I've seen a lot of comparisons. It's like, Captain America is the Marvel's Batman just because he's just a dude with gadgets. No, I would say Black Panther is equal to Batman when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they're both awesome. They're both just dudes with strong will and like you can't
They're both
stop.
rich.
That helps. Yeah.
And lady killers.
T'Challa's more of like a one girl at a time type.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a womanizer. I'm just saying that, I mean, he's got that charisma. Yeah.
But yet in this movie, all those women, they pretty
I love
much
the fact that
they build him up. They do everything for him.
They do.
And they kind of like save his booty.
They do.
So,
it's like the Hermione complex. Like she comes in and saves the day and has to step back. But I love the fact that he froze when he saw his love.
Yeah.
Okoye, don't freeze when you see her.
Yeah. It's like, I got this. No problem. I'm not going to freeze. And then, of course,
he did. Of course he did.
Froze like an antelope in the headlights.
Yeah. It humanized him right away because we know he's wearing the Black Panther suit. He's superhuman. But he's like every guy. He freezes when he sees the girl he's into. And it's great. I love that whole setup. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. Brandon, you want to jump in, or I can?
No, yeah. I would say, to me, Black Panther is a superhero, but the heart of the movie is actually the women. That's to me, like when I watched the movie, that's something that struck out because a lot of times in movies in general, not just comic book movies, a lot of times the women are eye candy, the side piece, or they are the nagging wife. Why are you doing this? Just let me do it, woman.
Yeah.
Even with Black Widow, who I love that character, she is very sexed up.
Yeah.
Like I do acting, and you can tell there's certain shots where, you're in the middle of a battle, but why are they trying to make you look that sexy? I get it. Just like when I was watching Aquaman, you'd have the shots where the waves were crashing and he flipped his hair and then he had to fight it.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I get it, but the cool thing about Black Panther is, to me, Panther was like Civil War, as in, I'm sorry, not Civil War, Winter Soldier, as in, yes, it's a comic book movie. Yes, there's action. Yes, it's science fiction, but this is like just a serious movie. To me, they made this movie like, let's make the best movie we can make, not make the best comic book movie that we can make. So that's honestly how I took it. And again, to me, it has like a lot of cultural ramifications as far as ethnicity, but I'm not sure the last time I've ever seen a movie where women were used like that in an action type of movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not since the kickboxing movies of the late 80s with Cynthia Rock.
Cynthia Rock. Yeah. That's very true.
I thought that they had a great balance of sexy and powerful with Okoye. Her character is just fantastic. I mean, she is beautiful, but she has everything else: smarts, her skills, her strategy, and she sees the greater picture of defending the nation. I thought her character was great, and it's what they should have done maybe with Black Widow. Kind of gone that route, but I loved every character in this movie. It's one of my favorites.
So good.
Strong cast from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just before I move away from the cast is phenomenal. Now, we'll definitely go through the cast. Before I move on from the comics, I just want to mention Lewis said that he hates that the comics are not the same as MCU. That is one thing Star Wars has on Marvel. I mean, I'm not enough of a comic books person to go there completely, but I agree that when you get these offshoots and the random storylines and the reboots and everything like that, does that hurt if you're not a comic book fan?
I don't think
Does it hurt as a movie fan to come back and not know?
I mean, I already made reference to the Guardians of the Galaxy before you saw them on the big screen. Did anybody know of the Guardians of the Galaxy outside of like the hardcore comic book fans?
Oh, come on.
Okay, yes. Okay, outside of our chat, I'm talking about the general public at large.
I did not.
If you don't
No.
go
We
up
are
to,
an exceptional
John
group of
Cena
nerds.
once again and saying, "Hey, we're going to tell you a story about a tree that says his name over and over again, and we're going to make a talking raccoon bigger than Mickey freaking Mouse. And we're going to put it up on the big screen." They'll be like, "Sir, you're on drugs. We don't want to have anything to do with you."
It's
I
not a
was
bad
totally
point.
psyched for it. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna put Groot on the screen. I got
know.
I'm like, dude, it's insane.
Again, they made Ant-Man work. Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Ant-Man is our family's favorite. The Ant-Man and Ant-Man 2, we watch it
Paul Rudd's so
almost
damn good.
every
Well,
night.
Yeah, shout out to Paul Rudd on that one because holy
The
I
crap.
will-
ageless Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
I will say it took me a while to see Ant-Man, but I finally saw it last maybe a year ago now, and I was like, oh, this is a really good movie. Moving on to Black Panther. Let's so we talk about the world of the play. We like to talk about that here. The world that's created. It's such an exceptional world here. Again, as Brandon mentioned, the best possible movie, but really how they create the world on screen it's phenomenal. And by try to define the world of the play in the theatrical context, in theater, they talk about the relationships between the characters and then like the social, historical, and cultural impact that it has. I mean, that's how they define like a play, when it's creating, on stage. So here I like to carry that over into the movies I see. And I feel like the world of the play is epitomized here in Black Panther. So just in terms of the world that's created, where can we start? The relationships, the world in general of Wakanda, where do you want to start? Really, there's so many roads we can go down.
Well, there's nothing like it, especially with a country of Wakanda that's supposed to be isolationist and like no one knows anything about them. They're leaps and bounds technologically wise above the rest of the world to the point where we're just going to do our own thing and be really, really good at it. You guys, whatever, just stay away from us, that kind of thing. So they really brought that aspect out in the comics. That came in full circle. I loved it. Absolutely loved everything about that. And how beautiful it looked. It looked with the construction of some of the buildings, how they had like this old, like over here. You see like a combination of plant and concrete, and and technology mixed in such a way you just don't see it anywhere else. Not in Tokyo, not in London, not anywhere else, and it's really unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
Wakanda's
they called
beautiful.
it. I think they called it Afrofuturism, the type of art that they were using. And I'm the same way. I've never seen that, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I kind of see what they're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, the scenes of the city were just amazing. I loved. It was at the end of the movie, but when things had kind of calmed down and T'Challa was walking around with his soon-to-be queen, hopefully. The scenes with the people just walking the streets and they're holding like hologram technology, but yet there's rural kind of elements mixed in. It was really interesting. It was fantastic representation of what the city I thought was in existence brought to screen.
Yeah, I think the reveal of the Wakandan downtown is such a breathtaking moment in the movie. Like they go through, they move through the shield, and all of a sudden you can see this beautiful metropolis. But the thing about it is, it's all about one of the central themes of the movie, right? So we're talking about harmony between nature and technology, but not just that, harmony between like all peoples. And that's kind of like one of the central themes, just harmony, bringing everything together. Past and future can come together. People of all types can come together. And that's one of the things that really like resonated with me. And that's why like the town, the city that you see is so like it's perfectly on point, because it does bring together like nature and then like futuristic design in such a cool way.
And even on a social level, Wakanda is not just like one group of people. It's like 5 different, completely different tribes who are all working together in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and something Jay made reference. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, I was just going to say, I agree with what he said, because that's true with people. Forget Africa is a lot of different countries. It's not like, hey, this part of Africa is everything. Like, no.
Mhm.
They are very distinct with it. And I even like the way, like, even with their languages, how I don't know, someone may have to fact check, but I felt like the language is maybe a little mesh of a couple different things, because I noticed certain things where they kind of roll their R's, or then they would kind of do the clicks as well too. And I just noticed that
they were. It was very funny because Trevor Noah of the Daily Show noted that he's like, they're speaking close up, which I can barely say that word correct. Close up. Where anytime you see an X, it's a click, and of course the first word in the word closer is an X, and he was like, because it's a South African thing, and he can speak it, and he was very excited at some of the stuff going on when he was talking about it. Of course, what he never told on his actual show is the fact that he's in the movie, which I thought was kind of hilarious. But they tried to throw in different cultures, different languages, and they did their research, which one thing that really pissed me off.
Let's just get to it, Charles. Come on.
Well, a bunch of very old school white directors getting pissy about comic book movies, and Terry Gilliam in particular saying, "Well, that movie I hated it. They didn't do any research, and poor black kids are going to be thinking this thing really exists." And I'm just like,
what?
What?
First off, they did do a lot of research.
Yes.
The fact that they're doing right arm over left for Wakanda forever. The specific type of salute, the languages, the styles. Also, you don't need to worry about what parents are teaching their black kids.
Especially Terry Gilliam.
Thank you. You can't call a friend for Terry Gilliam because he ain't got none. And I was just like, no. Black parents are out there saying, well, world's going to be rough for you. They're having to talk, racism. You always got to be working twice as hard. You're always going to suspect you, and that's how the world is. Does Wakanda exist? Yeah, that shit's real.
That's hilarious. The guy made time band. There are little people coming through time. I didn't think that when I was a kid when I saw it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty sure I saw a meme that said, "Why are people getting angry because they think black people think Wakanda exists when white people think Harry Potter is real?" I lost my brain when I read that. And it's just, I don't understand, like, people getting so mad. Well, do you remember the news reports saying the actual militant Black Panthers were going to show up at the movies?
I remember that.
I'm like,
come on.
Okay.
Right. So what if they do?
Yeah.
They're going to see a great movie and be entertained.
I fail to see the problem here.
Sit down and shut up.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's just the way the world is. I mean, just like years ago when John Boyega took off that mask. Mm-hmm. What? A black stormtrooper? That can't happen. Huh? Mm-hmm. So we can have a job. I don't know. It's we have aliens, but you better not have a dark-skinned stormtrooper. So it's all good.
I thought that too. I was so excited. I thought he was going to be. Well, we all know what recent is are.
Yeah. He got done dirty.
Yeah, he did. But he should have been a Jedi. I'm so mad about that. Sorry, Black Panther. Sorry.
I'm glad you did it. I was ready to go down the Finn rabbit hole, and I was like, don't do it. I agree. Finn in Force Awakens is so amazing that what happened?
Yeah. I feel like that's a whole nother Forever 44 Fedora Club thing. But at the same time, I would say that, like, the promises made to Finn were much higher than what were delivered. But I will say this. They made him not a Jedi, and he still was pretty awesome. So, like,
screaming,
"Ray! Ray!" Yeah, thank you, Brandon. Yeah. Ray, I have to tell you this one thing. What do you want to tell me? I can't tell you. That was his entire story over 2 movies.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, we're gonna get derailed.
What do you mean
I'm
gonna
gonna
get?
have to get another drink. We're gonna talk about that.
You should have made more, Nate.
I can eat the blackberry.
There you go.
I know. I'm not trying to move ahead because I have so much to say about Finn, but I won't. So let's talk about the characters and let's talk about the cast. Everyone touched on someone a little bit already. You can choose to talk about the relationships between certain characters. You can choose to talk about the performer behind, the actor behind the character that you liked. Just whatever you want to speak to in that regard, because again, there's a lot of avenues to take and a lot of characters to talk about.
Go do it. I wanted to just point out the sibling aspect. I mean, we are a sibling podcast here. We
Yes.
have to talk about the sibling.
It's true.
And the sister being the cooler sibling, coming up with all the amazing technology to basically make sure her brother doesn't get killed. I mean, there's a big metaphor there, I think, that could be applied here.
And also,
Who's smarter, Tony Stark or Shuri? I want to know.
I'd go Surrey.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Tony Stark has $1 billion industry behind him where Sarah's just like, hey, I'm a teenager in my own lab doing this. And it's like, I felt the relationship between her and T'Challa. It's like, that to me, it's like, that felt like a real sibling relationship, even down to when she busted on his balls. What are those?
When she flipped him off?
Yes.
and walked away? I was like,
The best part is her mom knew, didn't even look at it. Sorry, mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how she came off as his cue almost to James Bond.
Yeah.
And then, as soon as he left the room, she's turning on Fortnite or something and just kicking ass.
I believe the Marvel's Marvel films, Kevin, was it Feige? He says technically she is the smartest person in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
I love how you
I think she comes across that way. Like, I really do. And the thing about it is, like, I felt like there's so much, she's so interesting, and she automatically, when she's on screen, she like kind of commands the room. Like she is like extremely interesting. She's got the charisma going for her, and she one-ups Black Panther like consistently. Like she always like is one step ahead of him. But like for me, I thought that relationship was really cool, and I think that we talked about it already, but the fact that this is like a pretty female, like strong female dominated cast, like she stands out as like another aspect of like, oh, by the way, girls can be really smart too.
Yeah.
Not only can they kick ass with Okoye and the Dora Milaje, not only can they be spies as well, they can also be super smart. I mean, thinking about it, it's like there is the minority in this cast is the males. Like for the most part, every person that's in the forefront is a female. Even Angela Bassett, she was awesome in this movie.
Oh yeah. Is there anything she's not awesome in?
Right. Yeah.
Touche. Well, speaking of awesome in this movie, can we give a shout out to Winston Duke's M'Baku? Yeah. That guy is a low-key MVP in this movie. I love the character of M'Baku.
He's not low-key.
I can tell.
Love him.
I can tell secrets class because I know she doesn't watch this, but my niece, grown woman, she's taller than me probably, and she was digging on. She's like, "Why is everybody talking about T'Challa? I like him. Vegetarian."
Yeah, that was such a great line too. Yeah. We'll eat them. No, I'm just kidding. We are vegetarian.
Yeah. Oh, she was definitely digging Winston.
Well, speaking of the male characters, how about? Oh, go ahead, Charles.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if I'm just trying to count in my head how many of those people are Oscar winners and Oscar nominated performers.
No kidding.
Well, what's the name of Black Panther's like main squeeze? What's her name again?
Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah. Okay. So Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke, they were actually classmates at Yale Drama School together.
Oh, wow.
I saw like an interview where they said, I think it was in 2012, they went to watch Avengers together while they were still in school. And so that's crazy that they end up in Black Panther.
Wow.
That's nuts.
That's crazy.
We haven't mentioned Killmonger yet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Michael B. Jordan.
Oh my God, he's so good. I mean, yeah.
Oh wow.
Everyone swoons.
Yeah, right.
Best Marvel villain. I'm sorry.
He's
I
Very
was
so
good.
going to
good.
ask,
There you
like, where does he fall in the Marvel villain hierarchy, and why is he towards the top? Skipper Bob, you say he is number one with a bullet. Like, I'm hard to disagree.
He's
Like,
up there. He's up there.
Thanos is stronger and smarter, but Warmonger was more cunning and more
kind of had a point too. I mean,
more aggressive.
had the subtlety of a sledgehammer, but at the same time, he still kind of had a point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You get where he's coming from, right? Like, yeah.
Just as a question, does Loki lose his luster because of his appearances in future movies? Like, I mean, because I thought he was great in the Avengers, but I feel like then with more appearances, he went further down the chain. That's how I feel. But
Interesting.
yeah.
That is interesting because I always feel like in superhero movies, it's such a shame that like you get these like extremely interesting villains and then they have to die in the movie that they're in.
I was actually going to ask, did they make a mistake killing off Killmonger because he was so damn good?
Yeah, because T'Challa doesn't have that many notable enemies. I mean, he's also got Claw,
and he got gigged in this movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah, how interesting would it have been to have his brother, still alive as T'Challa was taking the nation to the world and having to reconcile not only personal issues with his brother, but the fact that he wanted to take their weapons to the world. And it's just this whole dichotomy, and all these issues were so fascinating to me. They're just great. I wish they had kept them around. I was hoping to have an argument between the two in the second movie if he survived. But I think it was a mistake.
But
I mean,
of course,
there-
sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say it's not that surprising that the combination of Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan was just magic on the big screen, because those two are like straight up money. Like this might be a controversial take. They made the best Rocky movie, period.
Oh,
Fight me, the internet.
both Creed movies are fantastic. I think both him and Tessa Thompson are tremendous.
God, they're so good.
They're so good together.
This is the first one. God.
Yeah, so good. And and that was the thing. And like, I didn't know that he replaced Chadwick Boseman. And you'll like this, Jen, because you're a big soap opera fan. I'm not. Chadwick had a role in All My Children and was replaced by Jordan, which is crazy.
I knew that he was there.
Of course, he's like these were Jen brings us like, well, excuse me, here come my credentials.
Hey, while we're talking about. Sorry, Nate. While we're talking about the cast, one of the things that Brandon's been talking to me when I asked him to join this conversation is that he's got some connections to this movie, and I wonder if he might be willing to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. What was the analogy I used? Is it 6 or 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yeah. 6.
So back in 2018 when this movie came out, and I had to write down like the list. I've got 6 connections, and it's really weird how it works out. So the first one is, do you guys remember the scene where Killmonger was busting Claw out? I guess, what was it? It was like the CIA or something like that?
Yeah, he was being interrogated. Yeah.
So after, oh my God, I wanted to call him Bilbo Baggins.
It's Martin Freeman. Martin Freeman.
After Martin Freeman touches,
one of the token white guys, because they're literally the Tolkien white guys. Yeah.
After he hits T'Challa, and then she looks at him like, if you touch me again, I'll impale you. In the background, there's some guy working on a computer, and he's actually an acting buddy of mine, and his name is Bing Fu, and I was watching the movie, and I didn't meet him till like maybe 2 years later. He's like, oh yeah, I was in Black Panther. I was like, oh, where were you at? He's like, well, on that one, I was just doing background, but if you go to this scene, you can see me. He said, you can see me 2 times. One, I'm working on the computer as they're all talking, and you can literally pause it, and you just see kind of this little head, and you see him. I know it's him. And then where Killmonger starts shooting up the place, and throws a grenade, you see him dive behind a table, So I was like, okay. I was like, that's one, but that's no big deal. So then the second one is that one of my good friends at the job that I'm at now, one of her best friends was a digital artist on Black Panther. He lived in Cali, but they flew him out to Atlanta and actually just put him up in a bunch of houses, and then they just all sit there and just made like a lot of the computer generated stuff there.
Oh, cool. That's really
So
cool.
I'm thinking, okay, cool, that's two. then it starts getting kind of weird, like Twilight Zone-y. So one of my best friends in the world, his name is Ellis. He lives in Anderson, South Carolina. That is the hometown of Chadwick Boseman. But even further than that, my buddy Ellis, he's a nurse at the hospital. One of his best friends is the father of a woman who actually was best friends with Chadwick growing up. And like, I think they even used to date. She went to the premiere and all this other stuff.
Wow.
So there's two more. Literally, back in 2018, I'm at work going, this can't be happening. This is weird. What's happening? So the two other ones is, one for me is a lot of Black Panther was shot down in Georgia. And there's a massive studio where Endgame, Infinity War, part of Ant-Man, Ragnarok, Guardians of the Galaxy, it's Pinewood Studios. It's outside of Georgia. So if you watch like Infinity War, where they're fighting Thanos, and I think when they're on his home planet, that's in Georgia. All that's in Georgia. The final battle where he comes back and he goes, Steve, on your left. That's in Georgia. So that's kind of crazy. So back in, when did Infinity War come out? Was that 18? Yeah, that was 2018, right?
18.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Infinity War is 18, Endgame was 19. Yeah.
So I think like a year and a half before that happened, they had like a open casting call for just extras in Infinity War. And I was like, you know what? I know I'm not going to get it. I just want to go to the studio. So I just drove down there, and it was actually kind of cool. Like I got to go in the studio, and obviously you couldn't go anywhere else but little meeting places. But yeah, I can say, hey, I was on the studio where Black Panther was partly filmed, and you could see like all these trailers and stuff. And I was like, who's in that trailer? Don't get arrested. Don't go over there. And you could see like acres and acres of like sound stages. So a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then I've got two more, and then I'll shut up. Because it sounds like I'm making it up.
Yeah, yeah.
I literally have to like write this shit down.
Rushes with the same.
So two other ones. I have a martial arts background. So back in 2001, I was at this martial arts tournament, and there was this little bitty kid spinning and flipping around, doing all these crazy little acrobatic stuff. And I remember meeting this kid and talking to him, and there's even like this YouTube video where like me and a couple buddies were all kicking and flipping with this guy. So fast forward, this kid's name is Daniel Graham. He was one of the he grew up. Now he's like in his 30s. He grew up he was one of the primary stunt doubles for Black Panther in the suit.
Oh, man.
So when you see anything that's not CGI or wire work, that's him literally doing all those acrobatic stuff.
Awesome. Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
And then the very, very last one. Here in Knoxville, have you guys ever heard of those crime reenactment shows like, what is it called? Like Homicide Hunter, Snapped.
All mysteries.
Fatal Attraction. Yeah, though a lot crazy things.
Murder porn. Yeah.
Yes, literally murder porn. a lot of murder porn is filmed in Knoxville. I don't know why Knoxville. I guess we like our porn here. So,
I can concur. Yeah.
Yes. So I did I had like a small speaking role on one of them. I was like a bartender. Oh no, I'm sorry. I was a bouncer, and I was sitting outside, and then all of a sudden these two detectives show up, and then they start asking me questions of, hey, have you seen this guy? Blah 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 blah. We go over our lines. Well, in between takes, the main detective, I asked him, I was like, hey man, what's your name? And he goes, oh, my name is Quaylen. I keep talking to him, and I'm like, oh, hey, where you live? He's like, oh yeah, I live down in Atlanta, and I've done Black Panther. I was like,
hold up.
and this is after I've had like maybe 6 or 7 of these, little, connections. I'm like, what? He goes, oh yeah. He was like, oh yeah, I was the stand-in for Chadwick. I was like, wait a minute, are you kidding me?
Wow.
So I look him up on IMDb, Quaylen Bradley. I see him, and then I go on like his, Facebook. So he was telling me, he was like, the cool thing about a stand-in is literally, he's like, I'm literally, anytime you don't see Chadwick's face in a scene, that's probably me standing there. Because, you know, they're not going to keep a A-list actor on set for 14 hours.
Yeah.
You know, they say 14 hours. What they mean is you're in your trailer, and then when they set up shot, or when like the camera is over like your shoulder, and then you don't see your face, you're not on screen. And so he was like, oh yeah, I was basically I was T'Challa in a bunch of these shots. So
That's cool.
there you go. That's my
so cool.
weird Twilight Zone thing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And then that gets you to Kevin Bacon.
He's my father.
One person we didn't talk about, Sterling K. Brown. Are we not going to talk about him? I love Sterling.
I mean, you got to have that first scene in the movie to make it. You have to.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and then to get the scene with him and Michael B. Jordan is like, well, now you got these two guys in the same scene together. It's
Yeah,
so
that
awesome.
scene was great. You always promised to take me home, but you never did. Maybe home got lost, and that's why they never came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys remember that scene in Civil War where T'Challa is talking to his father? And it's like before his father gets killed. I feel like that heartfelt scene literally just, and then the scene where he's in like the, I don't know, afterlife or whatever. To me, like that meant so much to like the heart of that film.
Oh yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he's just a boy who loved his dad and missed his dad, and he didn't feel like he was ready to really be the man.
Yeah.
And those conversations, the first one, it's him like you said, not necessarily wanting to leave his dad. And then when he goes back the second time to talk to the ancestors, he is that man. And he's like, you were wrong. All of you were wrong. I love you. I respect you, but you made the wrong decision. And that right there, it's like, okay, T'Challa is his own man. I can't wait for him to get back and go whoop some ass.
Yeah. I think we've all had those conversations with our parents. I think I know, like with my mom, you know, I didn't do it when I was younger because I was too scared of my mom. but I think like we all get to a certain age where we say to like our elders, I love you, I respect you, but in this situation, you actually were wrong. And that's how I felt like with T'Challa. He was just like, I have respect for you, but you guys were a little bit off. You know, maybe we should have taken the kid, you know, and brought him back because now he's trying to kill everybody.
You created a situation way worse than if you had just owned up to the situation. And even his father said, this is the truth that I chose to omit. Like,
oh, it hits hard. It hits hard. But that is like that's when T'Challa like is like taking his like individual stance as a leader, and like it's pretty impactful. I think the way that it happens, like that scene hits pretty hard.
And he didn't just send it to his dad; he sent it to every one of his ancestors, because in the background, it's his father's father, his father's father, standing behind him, saying, "Son, it's time to join us. It's time to become an ancestor." And he's like, "No, y'all made the wrong decision, and now I got to go clean up your dadgum mess."
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take Nate's spot in this one tonight, and I'm just gonna say that this whole concept of isolationism doesn't work. And that's what T'Challa was saying. Like, you can't just like isolate and close the borders. That doesn't work.
Didn't work in World War II. Doesn't work in Wakanda either.
Right.
Separate but equals never worked.
No.
Awesome. Brandon, just so you know, Lewis is asking if you're on IMDb. He's building some software with IMDb and would love to use you in his examples.
Yeah, I'm on IMDb.
All right, we'll check it out. Well, we'll try to sync up everyone's contact info on that one.
Yeah.
Lewis also says, "Why do we think Killmonger is dead? Have you ever read a comic?" I think this is a fair point.
I agree. Yes, but the way he went out, bury me at sea. That's a pretty hard way to come back from.
That was a badass ending.
God.
Yeah, but it's a world where we have infinity gems and time travel.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. The time continuum has been completely wronged. Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying,
Set it off.
Skipper Bob does make a really good point. They've totally brought in time travel and reversing every bad decision they've made into this storyline, into this timeline. So sure, they could go back in theory, and I think the Doctor Strange movie is going to deal with some of those ramifications. But I'll be honest,
you don't have the Back to the Future rule. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
That was oh, wait a minute. Someone's gonna say we can't do that. Okay, let's just say Back to the Future doesn't count. I was like, yeah, I see what you're doing there.
Back to the Future was bull.
Yeah.
the movie that Baba watched. Yeah.
Well,
What set me
the
off
thing is,
about that? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, technically, as a Black Panther, Killmonger is locked in that region with the other Black
Oh,
Panther
his soul.
ancestors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. It's true. Well, I had a great conversation with my son about that scene where he says, "Bury me in the sea with all the slaves who jumped off the ships who didn't want to be slaves." My son turned to me and he was like, "God, he's really badass." He could have chosen to be, Wakanda, but he said, "No, this is who I am. I'm different." And holy shit!
Yeah.
That's okay.
Fine, everyone's fine. It's tremendous.
Oh my God, this really impacted my son and showed him that if you are true to yourself, you have to take that to the extremes. And it was just very impactful on a little kid and impactful on me because of it.
Yeah. I wanted to just like, maybe we should go in that direction because there are more than one line in this movie that I feel like are directed right at our mentality and just like the way things are in the world. And that's one of them, but also in the post-credit scene, right? When T'Challa is talking about like, we should be building bridges, not walls, right? There are so many lines like that like if you really listen to them, it's kind of a message, and I mean, not so subtle, right?
Right. The people that need to hear those messages probably ain't listening.
Did you guys catch like the subtext of? And I don't want to be like only Black people got this, because I don't want to seem like I'm racist, by the way. But there's a subtext in that with Killmonger and Black Panther. Like literally, there's a lot of people who are like African American who have maybe like ran into someone who's African. Sometimes there is some kind of tension because it is literally African people sometimes will say, "Why do you call yourself African American? You're not really African. You're just American." And then African American people will say, "Why do you reject us?" Like, and that's kind of how I saw a little bit of the Killmonger versus Black Panther, because that is true. It's almost like, to be completely honest, if you're African American, you can only kind of trace your ancestry back so far because a lot of it gets lost.
Yeah.
I know so many people that have family crest and they can go back thousands of years. A lot of people who are African American, sometimes we can't. So there is kind of like a disconnect. So when he said, "Why would you not take these weapons and come help the rest of us?" It's almost like they saw themselves as different, but he was like, "No, we're all the same." So I don't know. I could be digging a little bit too deep, but that is something that I kind of felt like it's like a little bit of underlying subtext, a little bit with that.
No, you're absolutely right. I think Killmonger wanted to be a revolutionist.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think Killmonger speaks to that about how he learned his enemies' systems and how they work and the weaknesses in it. And I think Ryan Coogler also wanted to highlight and I guess tell that story. Like I always say, a good movie, the soundtrack is a character. And in this instance, a great movie like Black Panther is a great character, because anytime T'Challa was on screen, he had the traditional African music. But whenever Killmonger was on screen and they were doing Killmonger things, and this really got hammered home today when I was watching it with the closed captions on, hip hop soundtrack start It is very much a juxtaposition of the old versus the new, and that's kind of the story they're telling in the Black Panther. They're dealing with the ways of Wakanda and the way they had done it, and they're now facing this new world, this 21st century, where, I mean, we've already talked about how isolationism doesn't really work, and by doing this isolationism stuff, it really created bigger problems than that they could have even seen coming.
Sometimes it's kind of like turning a blind eye to something bad happening, like, oh, hey, someone's getting mugged, and they go in like big cities, you can see people getting mugged, and everyone just goes, I'm sure someone will take care of that, and then you just keep moving on.
Yeah.
Look the other way.
Yeah, even if you have the resources to help someone else out.
Absolutely.
Just to close the loop on Killmonger, when Lewis brought that up, the only thing that jumped out at me is the closure of the character is so tremendous. Like, I don't know how you go back from that. You know, how the movie was made, you know, how people received the movie. I think it would be a step back to do that, even though I think if they were going to replace Chadwick, you know, and put someone else in it as an actor, would I not go to him first? Would I not go to Michael B. Jordan first? Because he's an amazing actor. So, you know, I feel torn. I'm like, no, the character had closure. It's tremendous. Don't change a thing.
But at the same time, I do see what you're saying, and my mind went there too. Like, do we want to get into the conversation of the Black Panther franchise in a sadly post Chadwick Boseman world? Because, like, I'm gonna be honest, I watched this movie today. Like, there were times where I teared up just because it's like, God bless, I can't believe this guy is gone.
Right. But when I left the theater, I walked out of the theater and I saw little kids who said to turned to their parents and said, "That was so great. I saw a guy like me on the screen." And like, wow, man, this is so awesome. Like, I loved it, but it meant so much more to them. I want them to continue, and I'm kind of the school where I would like the mantle to be passed to Suri. But I'm willing to listen to other options, but I kind of think that might be a fantastic way to go, because they've done it in the comics, and it just would be fantastic to have the little girls see themselves.
Have that same moment,
There's a Tony Stark character protege in the comics. I haven't read
Riri Ironheart. Ironheart,
From what I've heard, that little girls were taking, or not little girls, all women are taking to this. Oh my gosh, this is great. There's a character that's as smart, as Stark, and taking on the mantle of Iron Man. I just think it would be so impactful. But I'm willing to listen to other options. But I would like to see Suri don the costume.
Yeah, because there's not as many prominent Black superheroes. Like, there's side characters and supporting characters, but there's not like a lot. It's almost like, you know, when you have your Captain America, your Iron Man, your Hulk, it's kind of like you don't have like any sort of character of color or even a female character at that same level. And
at least it's not Token.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And that is true. Like, you know, when I was like a little kid, I mean, of course, you got to remember, you know, we all know comics started back in the 30s, 40s. Yeah, it makes sense. You know, wasn't going to be a lot of characters looking like me. I mean, it's just true, you know. And of course, there is always the jokes of Black Panther, Black Lightning. Every character was named Black, and I think did Black Panther come out during the Blaxploitation era? You know, like
it was
very close.
It was 1966, slightly before the Black Panthers themselves organized.
Okay.
Yeah, like months.
So, yeah, I mean, I just think, like, there just needs to be more variety, you know. Like, I love, like, just a caveat to, like, DC. I love Superman, love Batman. But, you know, if you have Wonder Woman, make sure you make her as badass as everybody else, you know, like, for instance, and, you know, I know I'm kind of, you know, like, that's why, like, in what was it, Justice League, when the Amazons were now wearing bikinis instead of their armor. That actually pissed me off, and I'm a guy, and that pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie. So for me, like something like Black Panther, I feel like it will continue, but I think you have to treat it almost like James Bond, where like you make because literally in the comics, the mantle gets passed. Make sure you are very, very careful who you pass it to. It has to be a phenomenal actor or actress. It can't just be, let's find the person with the biggest trending or the person that's the cutest.
Oh yeah.
No, because to me, out of all the comics that MCU was brought, that one had so much heart. It had so much depth, and to be completely honest, we want to talk about money. If you look at all the comic movies like MCU, yes, Endgame, Infinity War, and all the other Avengers movies, they're up there. But remember, Black Panther is probably the lesser known of all comic book characters. A lot of people don't know who Black Panther was. A lot of people didn't know what Black Panther was till maybe the cartoon series. But that movie was so good that it made like $1 billion.
Top 10 all-time grossing.
Yeah, if Superman and Batman make that much money, it makes sense. If a Avengers movie makes that much money, well, yeah, you've got like a ton of A-listers.
It better make that much money.
Yeah. When Black Panther did that, I mean, actually, to be complete, I hate to crap on DC because I love DC. Black Panther's opening weekend made more money than the entire run of Justice League. That doesn't make any damn sense.
It does because it was a better movie.
And now Zack Snyder's so pissed he's gonna demand $70 billion to go reshoot it on HBO Max. But it's like when Black Panther came out, the girl I was dating at the time, she's a middle school teacher, or rather, she was a middle school teacher at a school that served a lot of lesser income people, and her school took their students to go see Black Panther because it's that big of a cultural moment. And what Nate said, like walking out of the theater, like Miss blah blah blah. I'm not going to say her name because we're not dating. She probably wouldn't appreciate that anymore. But it's like I saw somebody that looked like me on that screen. So I mean, like yes, and it's like I do agree with what Brandon said. You have to take the utmost care in this role. I do think that Shuri should be the next Black Panther, but let me throw this name out there, or rather, let me put this caveat out there first.
Don't you say Eddie Murphy?
Dang it! Well, there
Wesley Snipes, man. It's Wesley Snipes.
No,
That almost happened.
Well, wait a minute.
He's the original Blade. Come on now. The role of T'Challa should never be recast. That is Chadwick Boseman's role.
I agree.
T'Challa is Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman is T'Challa.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's where I totally agree with that. And that's like part of me is like, I don't even know if you can make another movie, but it's an opportunity to, again, make another big impact in a very big way. And I think that I feel like, there's that part of me of like, I just want this to live as this perfect little thing. But when you see an opportunity to make yet another impact in the same franchise, you got to be very careful. But it's there if you do it right. And
Ryan Coogler was talking about I still can't believe we're talking about Chadwick Boseman in the past since after Chadwick passed away. He talked about how he had been working for a year writing lines and scenes and wanted and words for Chadwick to say, and now he's never going to be able to hear him say that. It's like there is going to be a Black Panther 2, whether we want it to be or not. I want to see the next chapter in the Black Panther story be told, because I think the people at the helm, particularly Ryan Coogler, will do a great job. I think Shuri should be the next Black Panther. But we've already mentioned him once. What if we introduce somebody who got done wrong by another Disney franchise? What if we bring in what?
Say it.
Say it.
Bring in John Boyega into the Black Panther universe and let him get the right treatment from all us nerd fanboys, because he got done raw by the Star Wars crew. Let him be not T'Challa. Let him be another strong role in this Black Panther universe. He could be in the background. Maybe in a couple movies he does step up to take that mantle. I don't know, maybe like maybe I'm completely in the wrong here, but it's like I would like to see John Boyega get another shake because like dude got done wrong.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I just don't know what is the right position for him to take.
Hey, we've already had in the chat like questioning the MCU is taking liberties with the comics. Why don't they take a liberty here and create a character for John Boyega in the world of Wakanda?
Sure.
You know who would have been good? Would have been Idris Elba, but
Yeah, like oh my God, yes, like
Why
I
is he Bond? He better be Bond. I mean, I want him to be Bond. He's so good.
He would be a good Bond. Oh man,
Charles, what do you think?
yes, he would have been a good Bond. Oh,
Well, I mean, like you say, there's so much going on here. Just to remember a couple memories I have is going to it like I don't know, second, third time I was out of town, and I was checking it out, and there were families, black families, there en masse on a I think it was like a Sunday night or something like that. And they were there dressed in their African kente cloth vest.
I saw
posing in
those too.
front
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
that movie card. And even incidentally, this is a weird incidental, but it doesn't matter. Right next, playing in other theaters, a movie that had really done well, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, Kevin Hart. And it was like, oh, wow, this is really pretty good for black people. We got these, I mean, we got the usual comic and muscle man, really great actors doing a really successful movie. A movie that I'll say the blasphemy is better than the original. And
I agree. I agree.
Here's to that, absolutely. Yeah, that movie was so dang good.
Oh, I thought I was committing a Robin Williams.
No, I got you,
But,
Charles.
Nope.
If you would have said Godfather 3 was the best,
Like, this podcast is over. No.
But just to see all these families posing in front of, and this particular theater had the big, 3D cardboard thingy, and posing in front of it, it made me so happy.
Yeah.
And then this is a side note. I think it was last year at the Maryland Renaissance Festival. I saw a kid walking by in a Dora Milaje Halloween costume, and it was a boy, and it was a white boy. And I just said, yeah, right.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Did you see where some people were upset because some people said, is it okay if white kids dress up as characters from Black Panther? I'm like, whoa.
Short answer, yes.
Yeah, it's okay. Like some people, I think someone said, but if my daughter dresses up like, the Dora Milaje, isn't that cultural appropriation? I'm like, Jesus.
These are fictional characters.
Yes.
Look, yeah.
Sounds like a segment on Tucker Carlson. God.
I've got two boys. Their favorite comic book characters are T'Challa and Miles Morales. So what does that tell you?
Miles Morales is my dude.
Yeah. My son's the same way. He loves Miles Morales. But the thing about it is, like, I kind of get that too. It's like, well, but is it taking something away if we, celebrate this character? But I don't think it is, because I think what it does is it pushes that character to the forefront, which is what we need to do, right? And I want to talk about the cultural significance, because I think that's where we're really kind of going. And for me, like, what meant so much to me when I saw this movie is I saw what it meant to all of my friends that were people of color or Black people growing up in America. Like, I saw what that meant to them. And like, when I watched this movie, I cried in the theater thinking about what it meant to my friends who didn't get that kind of representation growing up. Like, that is what hit me. And
that energy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's
My
why a lot of people
goddaughter-
are sad. I saw some news guy say what makes it so sad is a lot of people feel like, oh, black people just got a superhero and he's gone. And I was like, oh man, that's
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, and it's the it's everything, because Chadwick had this gravitas, like I mentioned 42 at the beginning, like not really was when I saw it, and it was just such. I was like, what am I watching? Like, I had no idea. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go see the Jackie Robinson biopic and Harrison Ford's in it, and just like walking out, like, who did I just see? What happened? And so there's that part of it where you're just thinking that Chadwick is going to be, the legacy. I mean, he's still going to leave this legacy. I mean, there's nothing to take that away. But you're just expecting all of these great moments along the way here for the next 20, 30 years, and to have that ripped away fictionally and in the real world is rough.
Can we talk about how big of a badass he was? Like, the entire time he was a literal freaking superhero. He was going through colon cancer treatments.
Yes.
Yeah.
God.
Hell yeah.
Like making his
Oh,
biggest
they
film
said
as
4
a
years.
supervillain. Yeah.
And then like going in his off time to go visit sick kids in the hospital. Like,
Holy crap.
God. 2020, you suck ass.
I don't have any
that
drink
one-
left, but I feel like I want to down a whole glass just for him.
I got you, Jay.
There was like one interview where he started crying because he talked about one or two of the kids that he visited, and he was hoping that they would survive to see Black Panther, but they didn't, and he's breaking down. I remember seeing that years ago. I think it was on Sway, like you guys know, like Sway in the morning. I think it was on that.
I watched that before the show.
Yeah. So now to think, oh wait a minute, he literally was battling cancer.
Yeah.
And I was, so it makes you think, was he also thinking of himself
Oh,
as well?
yeah.
As
I mean,
his
he
children?
had to be. He had to be. And it's like, there's another interview where somebody talked about how he put on all this weight for T'Challa and got, just completely ripped. And then he lost weight for, I think it was 21 Bridges. And then he put the weight back on to be T'Challa again. It's like, man, like you recreating your body over and over again. Like, that has to put you through some hard stuff. Chadwick just shook his head and said, you have no idea.
Yeah. Oh,
While
and by
going
the
through
way,
cancer.
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
So does that mean that he had cancer, like in Civil War or right after Civil War?
The
Yeah,
entire
so-
time we saw him portray the character of Black Panther,
You can't.
he was fighting it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But that's what makes that guy a legend. Like literally,
Oh,
like I feel sad, but then I also go, in the future, I can like tell like kids about this guy. Like that's how badass he was. Like we're watching one of the greatest performances, like in like cinema history, like Black Panther is a movie, and it got nominated for Best Picture, which I don't think a comic book movie has a comic book movie ever been nominated for.
Dark Knight, I think, got nominated, but
Did it?
but I don't think it won. But of the MCU, that was the first like award-winning bring home the hardware movie.
Yeah.
God.
Usually, yeah. Go ahead, Charles.
Oh, does anybody else find it ironic that the only comic book characters that have won Oscars are two different portrayals of the Joker?
That's weird.
To me, I'm like,
I think that's more
there's
coincidence.
something to think about it.
I mean, to be fair, Heath Ledger was kind of awesome in that role.
Oh my God.
He was the human embodiment of the shark in Jaws. Whenever he wasn't on the screen, where the hell is that crazy son of a?
He's behind you.
I think
Usually,
that's the beautiful thing about comic movies now is that, like, we all were around when we had like, say like, I hate to say it, it's gonna make me gag. Daredevil, Elektra. We lived through the first Fantastic Four 1 and 2, and then
Catwoman.
And then Fan Force,
The other one?
of course. Yeah.
oh, Catwoman. Oh, the basketball scene. Jesus.
Don't forget Steel. Like that. That was way
Steel.
before all those movies.
Oh,
We lived through
Steel.
we
like
didn't
a
have high
really-
expectations for Steel. Come on. Let's be
Oh
honest.
god, we had like a really bad run of comic book movies, and now it's like someone said, okay, let's try to make comic book movies to like the highest level of like a movie. So in a way, like we're kind of spoiled because, like, if I watch like Elektra now, hell no, I can't watch that.
It was so funny. My mom said, "Oh my God, I remember you read that comic about that guy with the glove, and he like did something and had his things on it." And I'm like, "Yeah, Jim," and she remembers it, and she was like, "Well, I can't believe the stuff that you're reading, which I was complaining about, is now like $1 million movie. Why don't you read something nice and good?
I read that comic, and that comic came out in 1991. And I remember that vividly because that was my favorite comic series ever. So at the end of Avengers, when Thanos turns and you smiles, I freaked out because I never thought they could. I was like, growing up from 1991 to 2012, you see Thanos. I thought there's no way they can ever do this story.
Nope.
And then what was it, Guardians 2, when he brought out the gauntlet?
End of first Guardians, when he said, I have to do this myself.
Yes.
Or something. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I peed on myself. I'm pretty sure I peed on myself.
Yeah, because Guardians 2, that was okay, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. Yeah, it was right there and gone. But I mean, ever since I guess comic book movies got good or serious, like just think about this: Captain America: Winter Soldier, a great spy movie that just happened to have superheroes in it. The Dark Knight, a great crime / gangster movie that just happened to have Batman and the Joker running around. With and it's funny, Nate, you talk about how your mom was like, yeah, I was making fun of this crap growing up, and now it literally prints money. It's
billions.
When you put anything in the hands of people that A, know what they're doing, and B, they're good at what they're doing, it makes money.
It's true. But then you factor in the cultural significance of not only using a superhero franchise to create this movie, but also reach out to the fact that we have never created something like this for people of color or for women.
Yep.
Well, before I was going to mention my goddaughter, who is African American, and she loves Disney princesses. They're all her favorite. Her name is Jasmine. Jasmine's her favorite. She loves Tiana too, because Tiana is an embodiment of her on the screen. She is a vibrant, super smart young woman who's going to grow up to be something super fantastic and wants to have her own fashion industry. She wants to be a mogul. And Tiana has that experience where I have my restaurant at the end of it. It's so impactful to her, and I want her to have the same thing with Surrey.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you so emotional when you see these kids who haven't had that representation. You just want to do everything you can to get it for them. I really am invested in that. So.
Dude, I'm there.
Well, and I think that's the whole thing overall, and it's maybe particularly since Chadwick's death, it's to me, he was a light. And watching the movie a couple of times this week again and reading articles this franchise is a light. And it's, usually I try to transition into what should we see in the theme parks, in Florida. Black Panther is painted on a wall in Islands of Adventure. So people are like, oh, I can't go to Disney yet. It's been 2.5 years. Somebody's got to figure something out of significance.
Oh, wait. I would totally
that mural at Disneyland go up this week.
But I would also be okay. Tomorrowland has been lost for a very long time. Give us Wakanda. Just give us Wakanda in Tomorrowland.
Whoa.
I'll take it.
Hey, I want Wakanda too.
I'm sure that would go over great with Diz Twitter. Yeah,
absolutely. I don't care. Have we used our F-bomb? Because I want to use it.
I think Jen's about to use her F-bomb. Yeah.
Don't touch the people mover, and I'm in.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And it's been in Florida. It's been rumored. It's been rumored for both Future World and World Showcase in Epcot. It's been rumored at the Animal Kingdom. And I feel like we keep dancing. Florida, if there's a thing about Universal, I get it, but they got
to buy out that contract. Come on, Disney, you got the money.
Do it. You got the money.
100%. They got it.
I can't play at the Star Wars stuff. I can't play Mace Windu. but I got that Forrest Whitaker Zuri physique down.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Listen, who's to say that Saw Gerrera isn't just like, the Forrest Whitaker character years later?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I just think that's another step here. Besides just whatever's going to happen next in the franchise is, it's like it has to go to Animal Kingdom. I think it has to go somewhere. Yeah, I would say it could be a fifth gate at this point because there's so much to it that's
Marvel
beautiful. That just bulldoze Marvel Land, Bob, and put up Wakanda. And put it on Disney's time. It's got to be somewhere at this point because looking at all the production values and how much they could really do with it and how much is really there. There's so much to the franchise that can be done in the parks, and I think they'll need to figure that out in the next 5 years.
Primeval World is gone. Let's just turn Dino Land into Wakanda.
Oh, come on. You got to give it more real estate than that carnival crap area.
Look.
Come at me, Nate. No.
My son, I was complaining about it. I said, this is a joke. Come on, get rid of this crap. And my son said, look, do you like to have fun? I said, I like fun. He goes, this is fun.
Counter question.
My son is a genius. I just said, okay, here's tickets. Go do whatever throwing rings on stupid boardwalk games you want. But love that thing. But
go play your stupid games. My kid's a genius. No.
I want those plush. They have new plush.
They do. They're very cute.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right. So usually these meetings are an hour, and we've already gone an hour and a half. Because obviously,
this is an extra large crew, so it's an extra large episode, baby.
It's an extra large crew with a film that's totally worthy of the extra time. So I'll just go around the horn. Anyone who wants to, if we missed anything, anyone wants to chime in with anything else before we bid adieu here, I'll leave the door open.
I'll say one quick thing. I was just going to say, because Nate talked about it, the importance with children in films like this, I think because we're constantly taking in information, I'm on my laptop, I'm on my tablet, I'm on my phone, I'm looking at TV, you're constantly being exposed to things. So psychologically speaking, and I can laugh about this because Robert Townsend made a movie years ago and he made fun of Hollywood because it was if you're going to have black actors, okay, when you go into casting calls, if you go into auditions, I don't care if you are a strongly classically trained thespian. Guess what? You get, maybe you with the Juilliard. It's all good. You know what you're going to audition for? It's going to be the pimp. You're going to be the thug. You're going to be the villain. You're going to be cracked out.
Right.
What happens is when you see so much of that growing up, it does have somewhat of a psychological, impact on you. It's not like it makes you think 100% I can't do anything, but psychologically it does something to you when you only see poverty, you only see poor. Or someone once said, I think it was Viola Davis, she even said, we need to also have movies with a strong black or ethnic cast that doesn't always have to be about sadness either. That's the cool thing about Black Panther. It was about, look at these black people. They're strong, they're powerful, they're intelligent, they're advanced. It wasn't, okay, let's talk about them only as being sad, only as being slaves, only as Jim Crow. Because what happens is that, you have to recognize it and you need to talk about it, especially in this climate day and age. But you have to also realize, hey, it can, just because you're black doesn't mean that you can only be in this little square, this little box. Because the reason why a movie like Black Panther stands out is because 2018, after all the movies that have went through in the world, look how long it took to get a movie like that. The reason why Wonder Woman stuck out is because look how long it was until we had a strong female role. There has to be more of that. And again, with children, if you're a little kid, if I think about me being a little kid, back in the 80s, I'm watching Transformers, I'm watching, maybe Hulk Hogan, I'm watching all these cartoons I'm really not seeing many black people. Now, if I watch maybe like WWF wrestling, I see the Junkyard Dog. I see if they're from Africa, they've got bones sticking through their nose and they're cannibals.
Samba Simba, yep.
Yes, like growing up, I couldn't think of all these characters. And you rarely ever saw like just a distinct. Chadwick is a very distinct man. You rarely see a lot of distinguished African Americans. You see a lot of get the sassy black woman because we love it. You get a lot of the jive talking black guy. We do love that, but it has to expand. It can't just be black people, sad stories, or foolishness comedy. You can have those both, but there's a lot of stuff on the in between. Because hey, I'll go ahead and say it. One reason why Tyler Perry is almost a billionaire now is he's very smart. If you notice his movies that make a good amount of money, they're the serious movies and they're grounded. The movies that make the most money are based off of stereotypes. And he knows that. The beautiful thing about Black Panther is it wasn't about a stereotype. It was like, finally, we have a strong movie with ethnic men, women, and they're strong. They're smart. They're leaders. You root for them. You wanted them. And so that just needs to become the norm. It can't just be, hey, guys, it's Black History Month. Okay, it's time to, celebrate it for 28 days, shortest month of the year. It just has to be a norm, just like with women being intelligent. A lot of people don't realize a lot of times people really don't like to promote women being shown as intelligent. It's like this weird thing of like, you almost train little girls, well, you don't want to be too smart because that's not a desirable mate. We got to throw that stuff out. We have to do that so that in the future, it's just the norm. There's lots of Black Panthers. There's lots of Shuris. There's lots of Okoyes. There needs to be a lot of that. And I mean, that goes with different ethnicities and however and whatnot,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And speaking as a white person raised from
You're
privilege. I mean, I know that it's not obvious, but trust me that I am.
That Wakanda
like
overpowering.
Hey, you can do the salute too, man. You're good. You're good.
What this movie meant to me when I watched it was, it doesn't matter where you come from, and that's kind of like I talked about harmony earlier, and I do think that's a central theme to this movie. But it's also, it doesn't matter where you come from or what the world thinks of you, and that's kind of what Wakanda represents. It talks about like when Killmonger was raised up with this idea of a myth of Wakanda, like that's what we're all raised up on. Really, is like we can all. We all come from greatness. We can all achieve greatness. And that's what this movie is telling us. And so, yes, it is amazing. It is amazing that this movie focuses on people of like African-American descent and women. And I think the message is all of us are the same. We're all one. And T'Challa says it in his post-credit speech, we're all one tribe. And I think that's what I took from it.
That's what we should be striving for anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super Bob.
I don't want to follow anything Brandon said. It was beautiful. I'm tearing up a little bit. It was gorgeous.
I mean, if you want, I can start quoting like, I don't know, Sanford and Son. Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you. You follow that.
Although I'm upset he didn't mention Ron Simmons, the first black world wrestling champion.
That is true. He was the first black champion.
Yep. And then Vader no-sold him, got up immediately after the 3. What the heck, Vader?
Well, and then was Blade technically the first Marvel movie?
I think
It was.
Was Blade before Spider-Man?
Blade was before Spider-Man.
It was before Spider-Man.
Punisher.
It was one of the first ones that showed that if you take the subject matter seriously enough and really know the character, you don't have to have a character that's well known, as long as the people making it know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing. It
Yep.
was still Marvel Studios, I think, at the time, or I think, but Marvel hadn't really upped its game yet. And yeah, it was amazing because it was like, who is this guy? Well, I know who he is, but they actually tried to take it seriously.
Yeah.
So it's a good vampire movie and a good action movie and a good,
Yeah.
But it was actually a very big point where studio head sort of said, I never even heard of this character, and the movie did well.
Yeah.
The ownership of Marvel was so messed up they couldn't capitalize on it. So.
And now we have another Blade movie coming down the pike with Mahershala Ali, I believe, going to be starring, which I am on board for. So
that is a strong actor, man.
Oh my God, he's so good. He's so good.
Yeah, when back when Netflix had their comic book shows on,
I loved Luke Cage.
The funny
That show
thing
was a
about
gem.
that was people hated Iron Fist and they loved Jessica Jones and Daredevil, and they really liked Luke Cage.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not fair to Iron Fist. It's got Mahershala Ali and Alfred Woodard who could be reading recipes about chocolate chip cookies.
Yep.
Okay.
And once
get
again, a
better lead.
killer freaking soundtrack in Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Skipper Bob, throw away the key.
Do you remember the end of Luke Cage? Sadly, I have to say the end of Luke Cage when he sat back in the chair, and I think wasn't there one shot where Biggie's crown like lined up with like his head,
Yes.
and I'm just like,
Yep.
and
Same.
then it died. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Nate, Charles, anything else? Landon?
I'm like I wish I could say something as profound as Brandon, but I wanted to point out we didn't bring up how W'Kabi was just a complete punk in this movie. Like he and T'Challa were best friends. It's like, all right, I'm gonna go get Claw. I promise you. Okay, dude, some stuff happened. I'm gonna betray you. Screw you. Like
You want to know
seriously?
why? Because he was still suffering the effects of the sunken place. That's why he was still.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. That's why he was jacked up.
What a
And on
Claw for
Black
Obama a third
Mirror,
time too.
He's an amazing actor too. Like I would like.
Oh,
to see
he's
him,
so good. He's so good.
I would like to see him get something huge.
Yeah.
Like if you see him in Black Mirror, and what was that episode where they were on the bikes and they literally were like, wasn't it? You know what I'm talking about? That episode of Black Mirror he was in.
Yeah.
Am I
It's the second one.
Yeah,
Second
it's an episode. Yeah, and you just see him, you see his acting chops, and he's such a good actor. And I feel like he was underused in. If there's any negative to Black Panther, I wanted to see him do so much more.
Give that character some more flesh.
I'll tell you what my negative to Black Panther was. It was Martin Freeman's American accent. Come on, that was an insult.
Hey, to be fair, we didn't talk about any of the white people in this movie. That's racist.
Well, you know what? White people have had their day.
we literally didn't.
We didn't talk about Andy Serkis. We didn't talk about Martin Freeman.
We didn't.
That
is fair.
White guys, yeah.
That is
We didn't
fair.
talk
We
about
didn't
the woman
mention
in-
Andy
didn't talk
Serkis at
about
all.
the-
He went from being Gollum to actually being a face character, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
Okay. About one thing about if we're talking about white people, Michael B. Jordan in the scene at the museum where he said to that lady, "You spent all this time staring at me, and you didn't even pay attention."
What you're drinking?
As a black person, I was like, "Yep, I've been there. I know what that's like. Sir, can I help you? I'm good for the 20th time. I'm good. I'm good. So,
I
sorry. I
don't mean to
just
laugh.
felt like we should talk about white people too.
That was a great line.
And
we
white women.
get talked about a whole lot. Like unfortunately, and it's generally never good.
Let's do that on my show where it's a little
We're
more
the
accepted.
worst.
Let's do it.
White people are the worst.
Let's go. I think this is good for a Cretins Guild podcast. Let's do it.
We'll carry it over.
Yeah.
Carry it over to the Cretins Guild.
So if you guys talk about
Wait, hold on. I'm getting notes, and I'm never being asked back on this show again. Sweet.
You always think that, and then here you are.
Yeah.
We keep bringing you back. We keep asking you for more things. But
Creed movie, right?
No, Wait, what about Creed? No.
Oh, let's talk
I
about
think
Creed.
Cretins Guild is about the movie's Creed, right?
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. Right for Bob, yeah.
Go with that.
that's why there's the
Frame by
championship
frame,
belt.
That's a great movie.
All right. Well, guys, this has been. We're gonna. We're gonna bring the fourth meeting of the Forever 44 Fedora Club to a close. Thank you guys so much for being here. For those of you in the comments section, Skipper Club.
Oh, nice. Oh, Justin shirt.
We have a T-Public store.
Oh,
For
does
all-
anybody want to see my nipple? No? Okay, all right.
For all the merch, yes, the next meeting will be on Friday, November 6th at 9 p.m., where we'll be discussing Back to the Future 2, a mere 3 days after the election. I think, if you like some of the shenanigans you heard here in the last 10 minutes, I would expect more of the same on that day. But also, I really want to point out, for those of you in the chat, if you hit like, if you subscribe to Dillos Diz, if you tell a friend, if you tell everyone of this nonsense that happened here, but not just the nonsense, really all the good conversation that happened about Black Panther. There's so much to go into. We hope we covered it all here. It really is a light. It was really recognized by me again this week, and seeing how much, 2 years ago, seeing how people were reacting to it, that we're seeing it, and then kind of revisiting it this week, and what an impact it has made on people, and hopefully will continue to be made, especially as the franchise goes on here. I think it's really important. And with that, Jen, you can call it to a close officially. Thanks very much.
Meeting of the Forever 44 Fedora Club is now over. Deuces.